Good afternoon again. Okay. We have some person else to add to the head table. Some person else is adding to the head table. Oh, okay, give me. Honorable Roland Royer, Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries, Blue and Green Economy, Government of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Honorable Sabato Caesar, Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labor, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. His Excellency Dr. Didicus Jules, Director General of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Allow me to relay apologies on behalf of the Honorable Indar Ware, Minister of Agriculture and Food and Nutrition Security, Barbados, who was here previously but had to leave to deal with another matter. Permanent Secretaries, Mr. Isaac Bagwan, Ministry of Agriculture, Land, Forestry and Marine Resources, Grenada. Mr. Miguel Fleming, Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Marine Resources, St. Kitts. Mr. Walter Christopher, Ministry of Agriculture, Land, Fisheries and the Blue Economy, Antigua. Mr. Alistair Glenn, ECA Representative for Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the plenary session of the EU OECS Regional Seminar on Agriculture and Fisheries Insurance. I trust that the breakout sessions are productive and filled with valuable discussions. We are now ready to hear from each group's rapporteur as they present their key insights and recommendations. This is an important opportunity for us to bring together the various perspectives and ideas that emerge during the breakout sessions. Let's dive in and share the outcomes of these collaborative efforts as we continue working towards resilience and sustainable solutions for our agricultural and fisheries sectors. We're now going to welcome the rapporteur from the group Agriculture and Fisheries Insurance, Assured, also known as Group 1, to make their presentation.
All right. Good day. I take it that protocol has already been established. So I greet the head table, distinguished gentlemen, and to the audience here for the past 3 days, welcome. So we are the Group 1, and we gave ourselves a group name, which is the Insurance Assured. Yes, Agri-Insurance Assured, right? So as we are here to present today, I think we had some good discussion. The first just moving on. Well, for those who don't know, I'm Kian Stevenson from the Commonwealth of Dominica. Welcome, Minister. Yes, the Nature Island. Please visit. So as we move along, what criteria would you recommend to develop viable insurance products for producers, farmers, and fisher folks and agro entrepreneurs. So one of the things we said is affordability. It must be affordable. We must rank the different programs also into scale and size, scale, and operations, different operations, whether it's micro, macro, or medium. The data, accurate data collection and analysis to be able to disaggregate data and simplify or simple systems with ease of access, breaking down the red tape and so that farmer folks and the persons that it's most needed can easily access it and will not be feel intimidated or threatened by such programs. It should be able to handle multiple hazards to include not only climatic events like droughts, windstorms, cyclones, hurricanes, but also to include things as pests and disease, such as pests and disease. And one important point, it must be transparency to gain the trust and the confidence of the persons that it's serving. So it must be transparent to ensure that the persons know where their money is going and how they can access it in times of need when the triggers are being met. So these are some of the questions. Question 2 was, can you identify an effective cost-sharing public-private partnership or PPP mechanisms? So some of the things came out from that was government assistance in provision of grants to help farmers and the provision of government assistance, provisions of grants and other subsidies for helping farmers in meeting premiums, partners with insurance companies, development banks, farmer cooperatives and other cooperatives, international organizations and multilateral organizations that are desirous of supporting development of agricultural insurance in the Caribbean region, included but not limited to the OECS, the CARICOM, and other academic institutions, research and development institutions. If we could give a good example, I didn't hear it mentioned during our presentations over the 3 days. I think Grenada mentioned it a bit, but we do have in Dominica what we call the COPEF, and I know that they work through the credit unions in Dominica in terms of offering those kind of services. So that is a good example right there. The third question is, what do you perceive are the barriers to the uptake of insurance in the region? So some of the perceived barriers are lack of information not readily available, data sharing, training and technical assistance is needed to farmers on the different products offered, the premium and the financing, or sometimes it's perceived that the cost of the insurance is too high. The change of the mindset is important, that the general perception that insurance is here to take your money is a scam making initiative. Most of our older farmers also may have that perception to insurance. I mean, not only agri-insurance, but other insurance as well. And the misconception by the insurance companies that agricultural investments are sometimes risky and not insurable by the thing. So these are some of the perceived barriers. The fourth question was, can you propose marketing communication strategies of insurance mechanisms to producers and decision makers for acceptance and action? So some of the things were collaboration between farmers, and we saw that as an important point, that the collaboration between farmers and extension officers, even with the farmers, the extension officers with the insurance bodies, having that kind of collaboration, as the importance of extension officers cannot be underscored as the agents of change and the persons that the farmers really trust in bringing about credible information to them. The use of social media and visual aid to promote success stories and testimonies of success. If we could promote the success of Grenada to other islands, to other government agencies, if we can promote the success of the farmers to the other farming communities. So we have success stories, testimonies that could use as a buy-in stuff. Removal of the technical jargon when we're trying to sell the product to the farming community and break it down, hence where the extension officer comes in. So taking that all, so removal of jargon and the need to buy in from the policymakers. As we mentioned, if we have those success stories from the different islands, sometimes we need the policymakers, the ministers, to buy into the program, to want to buy in, but also the Ministry of Finance, who holds the purse to those countries. We need them buying in so that they can support those programs and see it as a social protection strategy in times of events like this. Right? Question 5. Can you identify mechanisms presented at the seminar that can be transported with adaptation to the Caribbean context, which can be transposed, sorry. So we saw good examples coming from the Jamaican coconut windstorm insurance and what we knew in the bananas time as our cess. We saw different perils offered by Spain. For example, there are 29 perils, 18 in agriculture, 6 in livestock, 3 in aquaculture, 2 in forestry. Austria showed the PPP with government and farmers, where government contributed 55% of the premium and farmers contributed the 45%. And we saw the examples of the other EU countries having legislative framework for insurance. So if we can move on quickly for the purpose of time management. So we saw 6, propose a plan or a roadmap with timelines for these mechanisms. Right, so we said first we need to get harmonized regulatory framework, legal framework through the help of our ministries of agriculture, formation of an umbrella of PPPs to develop a PPP framework, coordination, develop and govern all PPPs, data collection and analysis systems, best practices, and establishment of reliable data collection and analysis systems to be able not only to provide statistics, but also have data on farmers, and also training is required in all areas. And finally, question 7, exploration of the role of the development donor agencies in supporting producers to mitigate against various risks. So we talk about capacity building, provision of grants, technical assistance, training, education, awareness, and promotion of pilot ventures, successful pilot ventures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kian. Okay, I would like to invite the second group up to present, and maybe you can focus on the issues not already presented by group 1. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Seems like it's a Dominica presentation today. I am Tiffany Marcel. I am also from the Commonwealth of Dominica. So for the first question, it says, what criteria would you recommend to develop viable insurance products for producers, farmers, and fisherfolk, and agro-entrepreneurs? So we definitely want to talk about the public-private approach, which we've discussed over the past couple of days, and we think that it would be the best approach for the Caribbean. So having the buy-in of the government, but also having the private sector be involved in those insurance schemes, and then also looking at total loss coverage. And to do so, we may have to look at a mix of the parametric insurance and the indemnity insurance that we used to have in the past. So in terms of, can you identify an effective cost-sharing public-private partnership mechanism? So working with co-ops and the credit unions. I know in some countries, co-ops aren't as regulated or aren't as popular as it is in Dominica. In Dominica, we have quite a few co-ops, and they are readily working, and we have great credit unions, and also the importance of the government buying. So an example that was given was in Zambia. They had an approach where they had multiple insurance schemes, and they were approached and they decided to put one national insurance policy together. That way they had all farmers under that national insurance approach, similar to what we saw in Spain. For what do you perceive are the barriers to the uptake of the insurance within the region? So lack of insurers willing to provide policies and being able to tie those insurances to farmers' credit. And then we have the lack of financial education and literacy. Another topic that came up was the dependencies on income support. So in cases like Grenada or even Dominica, where we've had hurricanes or tropical storms pass, sometimes farmers are very dependent on the government. So they won't buy into insurance because they know, well, the government is going to give me 10,000 banana trees or inputs to replace what I've already received. So they don't necessarily want to be insured because there would be no reason if the government is supporting that venture. Also, we have to understand that agriculture is a science, but fishing and farming are businesses. So a lot of farmers and fisher folk don't see their farms and don't see fishing as their businesses, but they have to look at it from a livelihood standpoint and not just, well, I'll fish for so many years and I make this money every day. But what's going to happen 50 years from now when you can no longer fish? Do you have that basis there where you need cash and you cannot do a job anymore? And then also another barrier, which was mentioned before, but agriculture insurance or insurance on a whole is really seen as a Ponzi scheme within the Caribbean. And so we have to move away from that. Also, quality data collection is an issue that we seem to have across different sectors within the region. And then finally, regulations. So in terms of macro insurance, every percentage counts, and the government needs to come in and have some tax regulations as it relates to regulations when it comes to insurance. So can you propose marketing and communication strategies of insurance mechanisms to producers and decision makers for acceptance and action? So essentially, we want to look at a joint public and private sector approach. So the private sector can promote things and we can use the extension officers to sort of drive the message. So we want the message and the messenger to be very crafted. Also, digital communication. It was mentioned that some farmers don't really know how to use their phone, or probably some of them aren't literate, but we can look at other options. We can make videos for people who aren't as literate. We can have written versions. We can have extension officers come in. We can have calls, video calls. So all of these things are possibilities in terms of digital communication and driving those ideas. And also trying to bundle agri-insurance with other trusted plans. So family indemnity plans that are offered at the credit unions is something that farmers, people within the Caribbean buy into. So we can probably try bundling agri-insurance with the plans that people already trust. Can you identify mechanisms presented at the seminar that can be transposed with adaptation to the Caribbean context? So I feel like we have a lot of context within the Caribbean that we can look at. So for example, coconut at Grace Kennedy, coconut windstorm, REAP, COP-F, CCRIF. So essentially, we just want to build on those models that they already have or see how they can help us, help ourselves in terms of building models that really more so impact us as the farmers and the fisher folk and the agro entrepreneurs. And then proposing a plan or a roadmap with timelines for these mechanisms. So we don't necessarily have a timeline, but we want to look at the examples that have transpired before, putting together quality data, and then hopefully having a national or regional consultation coordinated between the public and the private institutions, hopefully by 2025, after we've seen the effects of what 25 by 25 has brought. So no definite roadmap, but definitely looking something within the near future. In terms of exploration of the role of development and donor agencies in supporting producers to mitigate against the various risks, again, identifying effective cost-sharing mechanisms, capacity building trainings, and then dialogue at a national level with stakeholders.
Thank you, Tiffany. And the final group, please, group 3. Okay. poster. Outside.
Good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon to our head table, ministers and PSs. Nice to see all of you here. Just give us a few minutes because we actually had a flip chart and we didn't have ours on the computer, so we were trying to put it over. So now we're trying to get this sorted. Or we could start still. Huh? That's what I said. You could just give me the flip chart. You could just give me the flip chart. We could just. Huh? So where's the rest of it? Huh? Well, since we have a little bit of time, um, I would just like to say on behalf of myself and my colleagues that this seminar has been one of the ones that some of them, most of my colleagues, this is probably their first time, but for me, it's one of the ones that I would have gotten the most from. I'm not sure if it's because it is most relevant right now in terms of what has happened and what has happened with Grenada and the other islands, but I want to say kudos to the organizers. Thank you to the OECS and everybody else who has been part of this and making it happen, because it really has, you know, opened our eyes to the different options that are there and allowed us to come together and learn from each other. So thank you. Yes, so we're starting. So for question 1, we're speaking about the criteria for viable insurance products. For us, the affordability is one of the major shortfalls probably of people really buying into insurance. Timely payouts. A lot of the time you have this long wait between, especially for when you talk about agricultural insurance. The stakeholder buying, other groups have spoken about this one, where producers are not very trustful, or they have a lot of, they're not trusting in insurance. I think as small island people, we really see insurance as something that we get only when they force us to have it. So when your mortgage company says that you have to have insurance, you have insurance. Other than that, you probably would not have. And so the buy-in for that is something that is that we have to really work on. Part of that, I think, too, as small island producers, is that we have this notion that the government always supports farmers and fishers. And so regardless of whether or not you have insurance for yourself, you expect that government is going to assist when you end up in situations where it's, I think we went forward. Right, we're looking at legislative reform. because we have to be able to have some types of policies. And so when you come on to how the payouts are spent, especially when you have government already paying into it, who is in charge of it, how that money now is going to be used to rebuild your industries better, and not just to be given to the farmers or to different stakeholders and just spent, and then you end up in a situation like we were in after Ivan, in 2024, and Hurricane Ivan happened in 2004, we were still speaking in Grenada about building back and replanting our nutmeg fields. So we have to have a policy, I think, that would guide as to how that money, when it is paid out, how it is spent, not just in terms of giving the farmers livelihood support, but also in the rehabilitation and the rebuilding of the sectors. And we have the establishment, overhauling of government boards, bodies, and associations. We realize that there's a lot of bureaucracy and things that are, that are not fit for purpose. We have to start moving in a direction that will be much faster. Effective cost sharing PPP mechanisms. We have the stakeholders, which would be the farmers, fishers. They would receive the payout we have them paying premiums and subscription fees, and you realize it's like a cycle. We have government, which would give regulatory oversight, data collection, and subsidies. We have the private sector, which would give the products and go into things like loss adjustment and sustainability initiatives, and ensure that we have different products and that are affordable for our stakeholders. The barriers to the uptake of insurance, we have ignorance or mistrust, we already spoke about that, affordability, cultural and socio-economic conditions, some people just cannot afford it, and in that case, we will have to have, like I said, a policy that would ensure that they are also covered. The misalignment of products with industries, we were speaking, somebody was giving the example in terms of fisheries, where if you don't have 100% loss, you don't get any kind of payout in most of the policies. And so we have to, somehow get that fixed. The lack of organized cooperatives, we realize as small island developing states, and probably as just Caribbean people, we do not really like to be in associations or cooperatives. We prefer, for some reason, to be on our own, but we really need to get these cooperatives, associations, example, together so that we can have some kind of critical mass, because as individuals, you cannot attract the kind of deals and products, and so that you can as a cooperative. The bureaucracy, well, all of us are government officials, most of us, and we know that the bureaucracy is something that we will ask our ministers to please consider how they're going to fix that, because it's frustrating a lot of times in terms of our stakeholders. They don't understand the amount of steps that we have to take to get to somewhere. And so they think that, oh, I asked for this today and I'm going to get it by next week. And you realize that it has to go through 17 people before it comes back to you. And all these 17 people have a million other things doing. So, a lot of things get lost. So we have to find some way of simplifying our government processes. And the expectation of a bailout from government, I already spoke about that one. So we could go ahead. The proposal for marketing and communication strategies. We have education on insurance in schools, education in general. Somebody else spoke about education in terms of ensuring that the extension officers and other technical officers are aware and educated on the different products and so that are out there. Promotions and discounts on initial sign-up. We have traditional and modern media campaigns. We appreciate the fact that not many let me put it this way, a lot of our farmers are over the age of 65, and a lot of them they're not into Facebook and, so even though media campaigns we can go into for the younger generation, we also have to remember for the older generation that we have to make sure that they are also covered. Strengthen data collection. That is one of the major weaknesses across the Caribbean. Because if you don't have the data, you cannot attract the products and the insurance companies to assist you. And to tie benefits to insurance, this is one of the areas where we really think that if we have associations, cooperatives, that sort of thing, we can ensure that any benefits that would have been through government or, that sort of way, that if you're not associated or if you don't have insurance, then you won't be able to get some of those benefits. You have to kind of make it mandatory in that kind of way. The applicable mechanisms from the seminar, the adoption of the Spanish and Austrian model, not really adoption, but the use of some of their principles, investment in loss assessment technology. There's a lot of technology out there now that can assist the use of drone technology. I know in Grenada this time, because of where the damages were, especially for our nutmeg and cocoa sectors, we had drone teams out that were getting the information overhead because there was no way for you to enter into some of these farms. And from them taking the pictures, they did whatever they had to do with LiDAR and all of that, and then you would have been able to see and compare the pictures from before and after, which would have made the damage assessment much easier. Risk management. We have to ensure that we are using not just waiting on insurance, but that we have employed all of the other climate smart practices that would ensure that we mitigate some of the risks that we are faced with. Then we have a hybrid approach to insurance. My colleague here would explain that one to you. And then you do the last one. Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm observing all protocols. In the interest of time, I'll just be going through the last two. So the applicable mechanisms from the seminar looking at the hybrid approach to insurance. We spent a lot of time talking about parametric insurance, but in discussing it, consider looking at the probability of the risk and the type of crop that you're insuring, because there are different types of crops. There are 3 crops as well, so to consider that approach. Also to consider having parametric insurance for the funds. So my colleague spoke about having cooperatives and establishing funds to mitigate against the risks for the respective crops. So you could have parametric insurance for the fund, and depending on the type of crop that you have, you look at indemnity-based insurance for that. Then preliminary, because of the long turnaround time with indemnity-based insurance, you could consider giving a preliminary payout just to shorten the time, and then a final payout. So if your losses, for example, just using an arbitrary figure, $10,000, say the minimum payout is $10,000, that is what you get preliminary. When the final assessment is complete, that is where you would give them the balance of what the assessment is, or because the $10,000 is minimum, if their loss is not in excess of $10,000, then they would have gotten that benefit. So it's a hybrid approach, considering the type of crop that you have. And finally, this is not on the slide, so we are showing our creativity here with colors and everything, and the beautiful handwriting. I know it's beautiful. Very beautiful, isn't it beautiful? Okay, so let me make sure I'm by the mic. So looking at a proposal for the mechanisms or a plan of action, the way forward, we looked at short term, and we considered short term to be 1 to 3 years, medium term being 4 to 6 years, and long term being over 6 years. What flows through all of this is that there would need to be an intermittent review of the framework, especially based on climate change. We don't know where we'll end up. So we have to continuously review it. But in the 1 to 3 year period, we would have data collection, and that is ongoing for medium and long term as well. Marketing and communication campaigns, that is also ongoing. Legislative reform in the short term. And it would be regional legislative reform. So you are a member state. This is a regional or some treaty that you can sign that all territories must adopt this. So it will make them legally required to put the necessary mechanisms in place. Also, establishment and overhauling of government boards and authorities, as well as the association, that is a part of the short-term plan. Establishing public-private partnerships, and that would be continuous, so we want something long-term. And finally, looking at an insurance framework that would go over from year 1 and the long term. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Very insightful feedback from all of the groups. And I understand you had some very in-depth and engaging conversations during your group work. So thank you for that. So I'll now like to invite Dr. Didicus Jules to give some concluding remarks. Thanks.
Thank you, Alice. Protocols observed. I have to give kudos to the teams who reported today, because when I looked at the task that I was given, I thought my job was to synthesize the conclusions of this workshop or this event. And I must say that given the pace and the speed at which these presentations were made, it is really extraordinary that you all were able to establish with such precision the ambition of the Caribbean for agricultural insurance. So looking at the last couple of days, the regional seminar highlighted critical insights into risk management, climate change adaptation, and the development of agricultural insurance systems that are tailored to the Caribbean context. This presentation I'm making synthesizes the key outcomes from both days of the seminar, focusing on the lessons learned, the recommendations, and the potential strategies for improving agricultural resilience through insurance mechanisms. You recall on day 1, what were some of the key outcomes? Risk management and insurance strategies, and that involved prevention and mitigation. The importance of proactive risk management strategies was emphasized, including crop diversification, improved water management, and the use of early warning systems to minimize damage from climate-related events. Now note, although we were here to talk about insurance, the focus was not just on insurance per se as an instrument, but also the conditions surrounding the resilience of the sector. Second, relatedly, was adaptation to climate change, an urgent need to adopt climate-resilient agricultural practices, such as drought-resistant crops and better soil management to protect against increasingly frequently adverse weather conditions. Then there's risk layering. A tiered approach to managing risk was proposed, with low-level risks managed by farmers, medium risks through insurance, and catastrophic risks through public sector support, such as disaster relief funds. So 3 categories of response. The second area was agricultural insurance in the Caribbean. We looked at the market landscape in the presentations. The agricultural insurance market in the region remains underdeveloped, with small-scale farming dominating the sector. Insurance is critical in mitigating financial risk from natural disasters, but uptake remains low due to high premiums and limited awareness. Again, an embedded suggestion here as to what we need to do as part of the strategy to go forward. Address high premiums, but build awareness. Parametric insurance, as we heard, this type of insurance which triggers payouts based on predefined weather conditions like wind speed, rainfall, etc., was highlighted as particularly suited for the region's climate risk. Parametric insurance can offer quick and efficient financial relief through extreme weather events. And we saw that in the report on the experience of the countries impacted by Beryl. The third area is private-public partnerships, collaboration. Governments play a crucial role in supporting agricultural insurance through subsidies, capacity building, and reinsurance mechanisms. Partnerships between the public and private sectors seen as essential to ensure affordable, accessible, and sustainable insurance products. The fourth area, challenges and opportunities. There's the data gap. A significant barrier to effective agricultural insurance is a lack of comprehensive data on climate risk and agricultural production. Enhancing data collection and management, therefore, is crucial to developing accurate risk models and setting premiums. Relatedly, on the challenges and opportunities are education and capacity building. Farmers need greater education on the benefits of insurance and risk management, and insurance providers require technical capacity in underwriting and loss adjustment specific to agriculture. Day two, lessons from the international models, which is what we focus on largely on that day. Spain's agricultural insurance system. The Spanish model, based on public-private partnerships, offers valuable lessons for the Caribbean. It provides a comprehensive insurance scheme with government subsidies to make premiums affordable and ensure financial stability through reinsurance. This model demonstrates the benefits of a flexible, evolving insurance system that adapts to emerging climate risks. Then we looked at Austria's PPP model. The success with a 55% premium subsidy and extensive insurance coverage for multiple agricultural risks like drought, hail, etc., highlights the importance of government support in making insurance affordable for farmers. We looked at Italy's Agricat Fund. Italy's National Mutual Fund, which provides financial relief for catastrophic events, offers a template for establishing a similar mutual fund in the Caribbean. This could help small farmers recover from extreme weather events without relying solely on private insurance or government disaster relief. Then there's fisheries insurance. The high-risk nature of fisheries was recognized. Fisheries insurance is critical due to the high-risk nature of the sector, with fishers facing threats from vessel damage, piracy, and natural disasters. The Coast Initiative offering parametric insurance for fishers was highlighted as an important model to expand throughout the region. Challenges: fishers in the Caribbean face limited access to insurance with low participation due to high premiums and mistrust in the insurance process. Addressing these barriers is essential to expanding coverage in this sector. The third area of Day 2, regional collaboration, multi-country approaches. The seminar stressed the need for regional collaboration in disaster risk financing and agricultural insurance. Pooling resources across the Caribbean could help lower costs, expand insurance coverage, and improve resilience against shared climate risk. Fourth area, technology and innovation. Satellite data for risk assessment. Lessons from Colombia's use of satellite data to monitor environmental changes such as droughts and floods suggest that similar technologies could be used in the Caribbean to improve disaster preparedness as well as enhance agricultural resilience. On the digitization front, the use of digital tools such as satellite imaging and real-time data can improve the efficiency of claims processing, enabling faster payouts and better risk management. So, in summary, colleagues, there are 5 big picture recommendations. 1, expand parametric insurance. Given the Caribbean's vulnerability to extreme weather, parametric insurance should be prioritized for its efficiency in providing timely financial relief. 2, enhance private-public partnerships. Governments need to play a proactive role by subsidizing premiums, providing technical support, and ensuring regulatory frameworks that encourage private sector participation in agricultural insurance. Thirdly, tailored insurance products. Insurance offerings should be tailored to specific crops, fisheries, and risk profiles, ensuring comprehensive coverage for both agriculture and fisheries. Fourth, capacity building. Ongoing education and training are critical for both farmers and insurance providers to improve understanding and engagement with agricultural insurance products. Fifthly, and lastly, data and technology. Invest in data collection systems and leverage technologies like satellite monitoring to improve risk assessment, insurance design, and disaster response. In conclusion, the seminar underscored the urgent need for comprehensive agricultural insurance systems in the Caribbean, driven by public-private collaboration, innovation in parametric insurance, and regional cooperation. By learning from international best practice, as we have sought to do, and tailoring solutions to local contexts, the Caribbean can enhance resilience, protect livelihoods, and build a more sustainable agricultural sector in the face of increasing climate risk. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jules. So that brings to an end our seminar. Thank you once again for your active participation, especially this afternoon in the group work. I also want to thank you very much for your patience, because I know we've overrun every single day, even today, but not as bad as yesterday and the day before. So in fact, we're getting increasingly better at managing our time towards the end. So thank you so much. We would like you to complete our evaluation on Mentimeter. I think we have about a 50% response rate at the moment, so please complete that. And then that will be the end of your contributions to this. So we can break for lunch. So thank you very much. A round of applause again.